Hi guys, thanks for coming. Just gonna give it a minute to let people in. Sorry, I was experiencing some Zoom difficulties. All right, I will get started. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Danielle Angelari, and I'm the Executive Director of NAMI Northern Illinois. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with us, our organization is an affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the nation's largest grassroots organization dedicated to improving lives of individuals and families living with mental illness. And we do that in various ways throughout Winnebago, Boone, and the surrounding counties. We have various peer-led support groups. We educate families in the community. We advocate by shaping public policy and programming for people with mental illness and their families. We lead awareness events, fight stigma, encourage understanding, and keep in the forefront of everyone's mind the importance of mental health care. I just wanted to give you a few updates on our end. We do have our annual event coming up June 7th. It's a Mulligans for Mental Illness golf outing, so you still have some time to gather a foursome together if you want to join us. And I just want to encourage you all to follow our Facebook and website for further community education events, as well as our updated support group list. But tonight we have Ann Wasser, who is the director at Severson Dells Nature Center, and Julie Uram, who is an AmeriCorps member supporting the 815 Outside and Park prescription programs. The center's mission is to connect people to nature through education and research in Northern Illinois and Southern Wisconsin. The park prescription programs involve health or social service providers encouraging people to spend time in nature to improve their health and well-being. So if you guys have any questions for Ann or Julie, please type them in the Q&A box and I will facilitate them at the end of their presentation. And just to remind you, I do have a 1-minute poll at the end. If you could stick around and just take a minute to answer like 5 questions for me, I'd really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming. I will turn it over to you two. Thank you guys again too.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Danielle, for having us, and thank you for everybody that's here in attendance. We're really excited to share this opportunity with you and with our community. Hold on 1 second. So yeah, like Danielle said, I'm Ann Wasser. I'm the director at Severson Dells Nature Center, and Julie is an AmeriCorps member that serves at the center supporting 815 Outside. She's been at the center for just over a year now. Actually, I think it's a year. Is it this week or next week? Sometime in there. So it's been very exciting having her and all of the amazing work that she's done. So she's actually going to start us out with our presentation. So Julie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ann, and thank you all for tuning in to join us tonight. So first off, I'd like to invite you to look at this image or close your eyes and picture soft grass, blue sky, leaves rustling in the wind, the earthy smell of moss. Just thinking about the outdoors makes us feel good because our bodies know how important it is to connect with nature. You can open your eyes if you close them. How can we help our community connect with nature for the benefit of their mental and physical health? The solution we want to share with you today is called Park Prescriptions. And before I get into details, I just want to say that nature activities and time spent outdoors are not meant to replace medical advice or therapy, but to be a complementary or preventative part of a patient's treatment plan. Here's a photo taken just last week at Severson Dells spring break camp. And we felt like this photo really visualized how you can feel at peace outdoors. This is a camper in a fort that they built. That's why it looks like he's in a stack of sticks. But we also just want to emphasize that quality time outdoors has great benefits for people of all ages, children and up. So 815 Outside, if you haven't heard of us before, we're an initiative that started in 2019, and our mission is to increase local participation in nature-related activities. And we're initially funded by Winnebago County, so that's our boundary at this time. And we're a partnership of these 6 organizations. So we've got the Forest Preserves of Winnebago County, Clem Arboretum and Botanic Garden, Nature at the Confluence, which is a nature center in South Beloit, Illinois, Natural Land Institute, which is our local land trust focused on conservation, the Rockford Park District, and Severson Dells Nature Center. And the idea for 815 Outside was inspired by the fact that we have over 20,000 acres of green space in this county, and much of it is underutilized. So now to look at the issue that we're trying to address. You likely know that mental health is a widespread issue. This graph is taken from the OSF St. Anthony Community Health Needs Assessment Survey from 2019. And here we see that a significant number of respondents feel depressed, anxious, and/or stressed for days or weeks every month. The Community Health Needs Assessment suggested an increase of community recreational activities to address some of these issues. And 815 Outside believes that this is a matter of connecting patients to the opportunities that already exist here in Winnebago County. So moving on to the health benefits of being in nature and how can being outside address these things. Countless studies show connections between time in nature and positive health benefits, especially for mental health. This is a fairly new area of research, so new studies are coming out every day, but groups of people have known for centuries how important it is to connect with the natural world, to be outside and to protect natural areas. So here we see an example of a recent study. This is a 2019 study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. And they found that group walks in nature are significantly associated with lower levels of depression. A 2003 study titled Nearby Nature, published in the Environment and Behavior Journal by 2 researchers from Cornell University, found nature helps to lessen the negative impacts of stressful life events. A study published in 2015 in the Landscape and Urban Planning Journal, researchers from Stanford University found spending time in nature decreased anxiety, rumination, and negative affect. And one more study we want to point out is a 2009 study in the Journal of Attention Disorders. They published a randomized controlled trial that found walking in parks improved focus in children with attention deficits. So there's lots of research to back up the reasons why we should spend more time in nature and that everyone can benefit from it. But we want to share with you a quick video that shows some doctors and patients who have benefited from prescribing nature.
Yeah, and one thing to note kind of on top of this is that being part of the Parks Prescription Program, which is a nationwide nonprofit, they are sharing updated publications all the time about the different health benefits, whether that's improvement in diabetes or mental health, attention, because that body of research is growing, it seems exponentially. So it's exciting to see all the new information coming out. It's thinking about it.
And I don't hear sound from the video. And so if that's the case for the audience, we can skip the video portion unless there's another way to turn on the audio.
I think at the top of your screen, do you see the options? It says share computer sound.
Yep,
That should work.
perfect. Thank you.
The basis of ParkRx America is to write prescriptions that make sense, that connect my patients with the outdoors because it's good for their health.
As a doctor, I prescribe Parks because it's one of the best things for the health of the children and the families that I get to take care of.
Nature makes me feel happy because when I go outside, I get some fresh air. I sometimes will beg my parents to go outside.
Yeah, I think if I'm too long inside, I get a little wound up.
There's something very spiritual about, the trees and, the leaves.
The animals, the crickets,
the birds, the soil.
the rushing sounds of the water. Just sitting still, closing my eyes, taking a deep breath in.
I find that very, very comforting.
A lot of benefits come from being outside and being in nature.
When you go hit the trails and you walk on those trails, this is when everything aligns.
It's almost like a recharge.
Nature provides a lot of medicine.
It just has a feel-good factor. I can't explain it scientifically.
After an excursion into a forested area, the level of natural killer cells, which are good, rises by almost 50%. And 1 month after that walk into the forest, it's still elevated above baseline by almost 25%.
For me, I almost feel like I have to get outdoors every day to just feel better inside.
I think that it really helps me manage my chronic depression.
It's powerful medicine.
It just makes you feel better.
It brings health and happiness to our lives in a way that being on a phone or being plugged in doesn't.
Just decompressing.
So overall, there's a lot of evidence now that being outdoors, especially under a canopy, near the sound of water, listening to birds, you actually improve your health. Not just feel better, but you actually get better because of it.
In summary,
Go outside and get some fresh air.
take a walk, enjoy the green space.
Get out of nature.
All right, well, hope you're feeling refreshed, just being in the woods and watching some water move. I'm a water kid, so anytime I'm around water, it always makes me feel better. So a little bit more about ParkRx America. So Dr. Czar, who you saw in that video, is actually the founder of the program, and he started it in partnership with DC Parks in Washington, DC. And since then, the National Park Service has taken this up at a number of their sites as well. So it really has turned into a national program that we are really excited to get launched here in Northern Illinois, because we are so fortunate to have so much green space, and with the efforts of our health systems and trying to make Rockford and Winnebago County a healthcare destination, it just seems like the stars are aligning to help make that happen. So the Parks Prescription Program, their mission is to decrease the burden of chronic disease and improve health by prescribing time in nature during the routine delivery of healthcare visits. So having it be part of patients' experience when they come to your office or to your Zoom session or however you are seeing patients these days. So you and the team of healthcare providers for your patients can decide how they want to implement this, depending on if you're an individual provider or you're part of a larger health network. There are multiple ways to access the program and utilize it for your patients. But healthcare providers really need, there's a 1-minute video that shows how to use the program, how to use the website, which is really nice. It's a really simple process, which we'll go through in a little bit. But really it's doing an assessment to determine if the patient is able to benefit from a prescription, talking with the patients about any barriers or concerns they might have about being outside. So whether it's transportation or feeling safe in a certain space, any range of considerations to take into account. And then really specifying the prescription and helping answer your patient's questions. What ParkRx has found is that being really specific with your prescription, so prescribing them a specific location to go to for X number of minutes for X number of days a week, is really beneficial. They've seen much more, or a much stronger response. And instead of just saying, hey, you should get outside more often, it's much easier, especially if nature is not part of their normal routine. If you can say, hey, you should go to Rock Cut State Park for 30 minutes, 3 days a week, or you should attend one 815 outside hike a week. There's any number of ways to prescribe that, but it's a great way to give your patients tangible things that they can do to help kind of fill that prescription, but also to reap the benefits of being outside as well. So in Winnebago County, we are fortunate to have 44 forest preserves. There's over 120 parks, all open to the public year round. You've got also have Rock Cut State Park, obviously. You've got the Natural Land Institute has Niagara Wetlands, which has miles of trail as well. So we are really, really fortunate to have so much space to explore, especially for a community of our size. And since 2009, 815 Outside has really built up a community and continues to build that community to strengthen communication between all of the partner organizations, but also to provide better services, more opportunities for our community to get engaged outside, whether that's a walk at Clem Arboretum, a bike along Stonebridge Trail. These are some of the photos that we've had from some of our walks over the last year, which we've been doing small group, masked, and trying to stay socially distant as well. And Julie has received so many comments from people, especially this winter, saying, thank you so much for doing this because it gave me a reason to get out of the house. So that people have developed a little bit of a community here and finding like-minded folks to get outside. It's also inspired other organizations to offer more small group hikes. Women's Space has started offering a hiking group twice a week. Because there was so much need and so many people were like, hey, I really need this community and a safe space to get outside because of the stress of everything that's been going on in the last year. And 815 Outside offers multiple activities every month. So we've got, usually it's hikes. In the summer, we will be offering a few different bikes. And then we are also working with the Rockford Poet Laureate to do some hike and write. So if you're feeling creative or your patients are feeling creative, they can come out and do some journaling and poetry after doing a guided walk. But we are really excited for 815 Outside to be an ideal resource to facilitate and support a parks prescription program, but it's only possible with the support of healthcare providers, whether that's nurses, doctors, mental health providers. You are really the linchpin in making this a success. And so we're really looking forward to having your involvement and answering any questions that we can to help make this successful. This is kind of what a sample prescription pad might look like. We are in the process of developing those materials. And really, like I said before, the specificity with the prescriptions is really important, but it really depends on your patient's willingness and their physical and mental capacities and likelihood of adherence to a prescription. Making sure that you're being really specific again about the length of time, where you want them and where you want them to go and how often, but also encouraging them to seek out programs, or even having the resources to provide them information about programs that the park district is offering that they might get involved in, or programs that Severson Dells is involved in, or the forest preserves, or up at Nature at the Confluence, depending on where you are located geographically. Connecting with the different partners to see, okay, what programs are they offering that might provide health benefits to my patient. A few successful examples. ParkRx is up in Northwest Washington, so Bellingham area, and they started as a ParkRx site working with individual providers. That's how they have seen the most success. So the providers that are really interested in getting involved and have started to build stronger program offerings that are really health related, and have found that that's been really successful instead of hey, just go for a hike. So we are trying to provide both the options of, hey, get outside on your own time, and programs. Hey, there are these programs, you should check these out for those that maybe need a little bit more support and introduction to the outdoors. Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore is part of the National Park Service. And they have partnered specifically with one individual health system, and that's been successful for them. And so it's one health system, one location. So very discrete partnership there. And we just think we have such an opportunity to go beyond that because we have so many different healthcare providers, whether it's individual mental health practitioners with their single person practice, up to our larger health systems with Swedish American and even the county health department. The county health department has actually expressed interest in getting involved in this once things with COVID die down a little bit and they have some time to connect with this program. But it's nice to see that Dr. Martell is interested in supporting this effort as well. And then locally, we've got the Chicago Botanic Garden and their horticultural therapy program. That is the only other parks prescription program in the state of Illinois. And they are really more about like hands in dirt and gardening as a recreation and therapy program, which there are plenty of mental and physical health benefits there as well. But again, very discreet. They're not necessarily partnering with any specific health system. It's just something that they are doing internally to their organization. And we'll do a little bit of navigating on the website. It's really easy to use. Just trying to get the tabs, there we go. So to sign up as a prescriber, it's really easy. This is the ParkRx America website. And to be a prescriber, you'll see here on the left side of the screen, there's a 1-minute video on how it works. And then on the right side, there's just a create a prescriber account. It's really easy to do, to set that up. It also has a list of frequently asked questions for healthcare providers that are, I think, pretty substantial in terms of answering any questions you might have on sort of the how and the why to do it. Once you log into the system, there's this great mapping feature, and you can say, I want something within 10 miles of a specific address. And it'll pull up all of the parks, and Julie has been working painstakingly to get this all done. She's most of the way there, but it gives you an idea of the different places that people can go. The nice thing is that when you click on a site, you can also view some of the features. So if you have a patient that needs access for ADA accessibility, you can filter for that. You can also look at different activities that are there, different amenities. It will also tell you who owns and maintains the site. So if you've got questions about that, it tells you what kind of trail surface type. So if your patient needs something that's paved, it'll let you know if it's paved or not. It lets you know if there's a restroom. So just basic information on that level to help support the wide variety of patients that I know that you have. And then to prescribe it, so you just select whatever preserve you want. You hit the prescribe parks button. And then I'm gonna say, take a walk. I'm gonna go 3 days a week for 30 minutes. And then you hit submit. And you can set it there. So yes, they allow you to do that. And I'm gonna set it to send me reminders twice a week. So you can do it by text or by email. And let's say I wanna do that for 3 months. And you can print the prescription if you want, or you can hit close, and now your patient will receive a text message. So I will now receive a text message twice a week, reminding me to go to my destination. And actually on my cell phone, it gives you a little thing. Let's see if I can get this to work. A little text message that says your provider has recently written you a nature prescription. Please click below to review and sign the consent for your reminders. And it gives them a way to stop or cancel, and they can start again at any time. So it makes it really easy.
I'd also,
the other thing is if you do have a healthcare, oh, go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to add there that a patient could opt in to the receiving reminders, or they can opt out if they want to remember it on their own. The benefit of opting in to email or text reminders is that allows the prescriber or the doctor to see how often that prescription is filled, and that will help with program measurement and evaluation and understanding, does prescribing parks in our area really have an effect? Is it really happening? So.
Yep, and then I'll see if my phone will quickly pull up what the little prescription page looks like when that looks up. So let's see if it's hard to tell with the lighting in here, but basically there's a little green button that said I fulfilled the prescription, and so they will click that and it says yes, I visited this park, and it goes in their record that you then have access to, and it just says visit logged. So it's pretty easy for them. It automatically updates their record in the system for you as the prescriber. So it makes it really easy for both sides to engage in that process. Let's see. Making sure I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah, so really by collaborating across disciplines between sort of nature organizations and healthcare providers, we can expand our collective impact and improve our community health indicators. I'm sure as many of you are aware, Winnebago County has one of the lowest health indicators of any county of the state, both mental health and physical health. So this is really a prime opportunity to help improve our community health in hopefully really dramatic ways, while also reducing healthcare costs to patients as well, and just improving overall well-being and overall improvement in our community. I think as people find out about more of these green spaces and realize like, hey, we really are lucky to have these spaces, it improves how people feel about the community that they live in, which has all kinds of benefits in addition to the health benefits. So we really are looking for you as prescribers to participate in this program. One, to be an added benefit to your practice, but also an added benefit to your patients. And it really is, these prescriptions really is different from any pill or other plan that you might have. Time in nature supports physical well-being, mental health, and even spiritual health. I mean, if you think about kind of the rejuvenation that you get from spending time outside. So we're really hoping that you will add Parks prescription to your practice and let 815 Outside and the partner agencies help support you in providing better mental health services to your patients. And if we have people here that aren't providers but are patients themselves, bringing this opportunity to your provider and saying, hey, I heard about this and I think it might be something fun to participate in as a patient, but it might also be beneficial for other patients in your practice. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, guys. And yeah, if anyone has questions, just type them in the Q&A box and I will read them to Anne or Julie, or both. How can we suggest a site to your list? I am thinking of Woman's Space that has a lovely garden.
Yep, Julie is very familiar with Women's Space. She actually just led a hike in their labyrinth. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, we had an event at Women's Space on the spring equinox. I think it was March 20th, and we had 2 different groups of people get a little intro from Women's Space volunteers about the labyrinth, and then we walked it. Women's Space is not listed on 815 Outside's website at this time because we just list the sites that are part of the 6 partners of 815 Outside. But moving forward, and especially with Parks prescriptions, we want to be a super user-friendly, comprehensive resource for outdoor activities and natural areas. So what is not on 815outside.com right now, but will be in the future, is a menu about park prescriptions that would list providers that are on board and that are prescribing nature, as well as a list of programs. So not just 815 Outside hikes, but all walking groups, biking groups, running groups in the area, so that anyone interested in getting outside a little more can go there to find everything. I will say, you know, I've grown up in Rockford and I've been doing this position for a year and I'm still finding out about new groups and even new trails. And so as we build that, it will definitely be a process of people, local people telling us, add this to the list. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you. There's also a question. Yeah. Is Rock Cut in the program at this time?
Rock Cut is not part of, Rock Cut's not part of the 815 Outside initiative at this time. We are looking to expand the number of partners now that funding for the partnership is no longer coming from Winnebago County. We have a little more flexibility in the partners that we can add to the partnership. So we're looking at more partners that are in Winnebago County, but also neighboring counties. We've had a Byron Forest Preserve Commissioner reached out when we first launched and like, hey, we want in. So we know that there are other agencies that are doing very similar work that could and should be part of this. So look for that expansion to come as well.
Thanks. What level of practitioner is able to prescribe?
Anybody you can set up as a practitioner. I mean, I was able to set myself up as a practitioner just as a test to try it. So it really can be anyone. But it's whatever level you're comfortable with. They're using it, so Parks Prescription is using it as a data collection source to do research and looking at the success of people actually using it. So how frequently are patients logging in? How frequently are practitioners using this? And so there's a little bit of data collection on their end on how they can improve it, but also how to engage practitioners and patients in more effective ways to make this project and process much more accessible and more successful.
It's also been suggested that this can be a teams-based approach based on what practitioners' needs are. So, for example, like in a clinical setting, you might have the doctor do the assessment for the patient to say, yes, I think you would benefit from a nature prescription, but then perhaps a nurse or someone else that the patient comes in contact with would help them specify or talk through the barriers and really like personalize the prescription.
I don't know if you're seeing the comments as well. Some appreciation and saying that they will definitely look into it.
I don't know if I just want to share that we have 815outside.com. Our website has all the resources, and we also have a Facebook and Instagram. So if you are watching this and you just want to like keep updated on this, I encourage you to follow our sites if you use social media.
Yep, and I just
Another
saw
good
Vicky's
question.
About
There you go.
literature. Yeah, so we are actually just finalizing the drafts of that to get all of that information printed. So the two printed pieces that we are looking at are a trifold brochure and then also a poster so that you can post the information in your clinic as well. And what the nice thing about it is the poster will have a QR code on there so that as patients if they're in the waiting room or in your office, they can just take a quick shot of the QR code and look on the website later. But there also will be a printed brochure for depending on what kind of system you are in. We are also working with been working with Swedish American on drafting a dot phrase for their system. So if you have a bigger health system you're connected to and use stuff like that to help get information to your patients when they're checking out, we are happy to provide that information as well. And because we are so new to this, if there are resources that would be helpful to you as a practitioner or helpful to you as a patient, let us know, because we want to make this program as accessible from both ways. And the likelihood that there are other people that would find that resource helpful as well is probably pretty good. So if you've got suggestions on things that would be helpful to make this program more accessible and easier to engage with, please let us know so that we can put that on our radar and get it on our to-do list.
Would you mind if I shared your guys' contact info and maybe a copy of the slides and the recording with the people who attended tonight and maybe registered but wasn't able to attend? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
It looks like someone mentioned Severson Dells and putting our brochures and information in the Severson Dells Visitor Center. Once we have them printed, we'll absolutely put them there. As far as where you could get one, I would say email or call us if you want. Either we can print them or send you the digital file if you want to print your own.
We can also get printed copies to Danielle at the NAMI office if that's an easy spot for folks.
Also, there's a question about, have you guys reached out to teachers of meditation before?
We haven't as part of this effort yet. We've been working with a lot of different meditation folks and yoga instructors with other programming just at Severson and the Forest Preserves. So that's kind of will be kind of the next level of folks. For us, it was really about direct service healthcare providers first, and then branching out from this. So we really have only been working on this for the last, month and a half, 2 months. So we're pretty early on in the game on this, and we really do want to work with as many different providers as possible. So if there's suggestions on people we should talk to or practitioners that you're like, I think they would really get in on this, please let us know, because we are all ears. I mean, we have a new chiropractor that's really excited about this, and so hopefully working with them to prescribe time outside for chiropractic issues. So there's lots of options, and we are open to all of them. So are there any other questions or thoughts that people would like to share? Oh, Shiraz, thank you for the suggestion.
How do you help clients with barriers?
It really depends on what the barriers are. If it's transportation, one of the biggest things that I think we can do as, nature educators, but also as providers, is reminding patients that there is nature in urban areas too. So maybe they can make it to just a smaller neighborhood park, and a lot of people don't think of that as like being nature, but it really is. I mean, you can find a bench and there's trees and there's going to be some bird activity, and maybe it's not the same kind of diversity as you might see out in a forest preserve, a larger forest preserve, but there's still plenty of health benefits to being in a neighborhood park. If it's comfort, which for a lot of people, it's, I don't go in nature, that's gross, there's bugs, it's hot, it's this. Encouraging them to join one of the groups that's going out. And one thing we're really excited about is with Swedish American, is they have a couple of nurse groups that have expressed interest in volunteering to lead walks, especially around the hospital, which I think would be really beneficial for that community, because there's not necessarily a lot of parks downtown in that area, but there's still plenty of nature to be had with all of the trees and some of the smaller community parks in that area. So yeah, I think it just depends on what the barriers are, and doing what you can to address barriers or help them think through some of the challenges, but also feel free to reach out to us. I mean, we are more than happy to help support you in addressing barriers as much as we are able as well.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Again, I'll be happy to send over Julie and Anne's information in case you think of anything after this as well. If you guys wouldn't mind taking this poll quickly. And I want to thank you, Anne and Julie, again for doing this for us. It was very, very informative.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us and giving us an opportunity to share this program that we hope is successful for our community.
I think it will be. It's got some strong leaders. Do you have any words of wisdom for us? Closing thoughts?
Just for me, it's mostly remembering that these things are all important for you too. We, and one of the Swedish American nurse groups we talked with, they actually got excited about prescribing time outside for themselves and using this system to hold themselves accountable for getting outside, especially with all that they've dealt with in the last year, that finding time outside for themselves was good, and that they needed to remember that. So I would suggest that to this group too, is this is not only good for your patients, but good for you to keep in mind too. So like I said, in the system, I set up a prescription for myself to remind myself to get outside. Even though I work at a nature center and work in a forest preserve, I've got access to trails 5 days a week out the front door of the nature center. I'm not as good about using them as I should be.
Just to mention the last comment in the chat about emotional barriers to going outside. 2 things to kind of address that. One is that, like Ann said, we have numerous free guided or group walks that if someone is worried about being alone outside or doesn't have someone to go with, we can help connect them. But there's also an option if for counselors or for a therapist or a meditation coach to meet with their patient outside. And so then you're kind of getting the benefits and talking about it while doing the other things you're going to talk about. And then hopefully the patient is feeling comfortable with you or with their counselor while outside. I also just wanted to remind everyone at the very top of this chat, I put the link to 815 Outside, our website, and to ParkRxAmerica.org if you want to explore the Parks Finder, the database of all of our sites. A warning, if you just Google ParksRx, there is a second website that is also very helpful with a lot of resources, and it's based out of California and Parkscriptions like in the West Coast. And so it's helpful information, but ParksRx America is the platform that 815 Outside is using as scaffolding for our local program.
Yeah, and like Julie
Thank
said,
you
we
very
actually
much.
we have a provider that happens to be a summer camp parent of ours who has started meeting with some of her patients outside and has seen really positive results and just getting people to be calmer than they might be in a doctor's office. Even in a therapist's office, like, yeah, therapist's office should be a place of comfort, but there's something unique about nature that provides that sense of calm in a way that being inside just doesn't. So definitely, if you have that opportunity to do that with your patients as they feel comfortable, I would highly recommend using that approach.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thank you so much. And again, if anybody has any questions, you've got our contact information, and Julie and I are absolutely loving this program. And so any way we can support any of you in taking advantage of it, we are more than happy to do.
Thanks. I hope you all have a good night. I appreciate everyone for coming as well. And I will share tomorrow morning probably all the content from tonight.
Great. Thank you and good night.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.